There is a certain energy, a violent electricity, that only comes from the presence of a man who seems sculpted from danger itself. Whenever Mike Tyson walked into an arena during his prime, that force rippled through the crowd like a storm warning. The air thickened, the noise shifted, and even the loudest spectators lowered their voices as if instinctively sensing that a predator had entered the room. It wasn't just boxing. It was mythology unfolding in real time. At the center of it all stood a figure whose fists carved fear into the hearts of other fighters long before the opening bell. That atmosphere would only intensify each time an opponent dared to speak recklessly, trying to rattle the Iron King of boxing. And one after another, those who tried would learn that mockery only sharpened the blade of the executioner waiting for them. Peter McNeely was one of the loudest to ever make that mistake. He strutted into Fight Week, believing bravado would shake a man who built an empire out of brutality. What he found instead was something only Tyson's harshest opponents ever truly understood. There is a world of difference between saying you are ready for war and standing in front of a man who lives in it. The moment the bell rang, McNeely's swagger dissolved. Tyson tore across the ring like a thunderclap and buried him under a barrage so fast that time seemed to blur. 3 seconds in, the so-called hurricane had already been blown off his feet. What followed wasn't a fight. It was a reckoning. McNeely staggered up, still clinging to the illusion that heart could compensate for skill, only to be folded again by a punch that stripped every ounce of confidence from him. His corner, seeing what he could not, threw themselves into the ring to save him before Tyson dismantled him completely. It was over in less than 2 minutes. The trash talk, the bravado, the insults, they dissolved the moment McNeely realized the truth. Tyson had not rusted. He had hardened. But McNeely was far from the first to tempt fate. Years earlier, another fighter had tried to humiliate Tyson before feeling the consequences in the most brutal way imaginable. Donovan "Razor" Ruddock was a destroyer in his own right, a man who hit with the kind of force that could rearrange a fighter's understanding of reality. He was bigger, longer, and frighteningly powerful, and many believed he was the chosen one to dethrone Tyson. He didn't just expect to win. He spoke like a man convinced he could hurt Tyson in ways no one else had. But all that swagger became meaningless once the bell rang. Their clash was pure chaos, a violent collision between two forces that refused to yield. Heavy punches thundered across the ring, bodies collided, and every exchange looked like it could end the fight. Ruddock landed shots that would have folded other men, but Tyson took them and returned fire with a fury that bordered on supernatural. Slowly, the momentum shifted. Tyson began reading Ruddock's rhythm, countering his wild swings, and carving him apart with brutal precision. When the 7th round arrived, Tyson no longer looked like a man in a fight. He looked like a man delivering judgment. A savage barrage crashed through Ruddock's defenses, forcing the referee to intervene before the giant collapsed completely. In that moment, the world understood why Tyson was feared. He didn't just beat opponents. He imposed consequences. But no rivalry burned hotter in Tyson's heart than the one that began when he was a boy, watching his idol Muhammad Ali fall at the hands of Larry Holmes. Holmes had not simply won that night. He dominated an aging legend, battering him in front of the world. Tyson watched, heartbroken and furious, swearing that one day he would avenge that humiliation. So when the two finally met, Tyson entered the ring carrying the weight of a promise made to a broken hero. Holmes arrived with arrogance, believing the young champion couldn't match the craft of a veteran. But from the opening moments, it was clear Holmes had miscalculated. Tyson hunted him relentlessly, cutting the ring off, destroying his rhythm, and dropping him with a shot so clean that the crowd erupted as if witnessing divine payback. Holmes rose only to be flattened again, and Tyson finished the job with a combination so vicious that Holmes crumpled like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Tyson didn't just win. He delivered the exact vengeance he once swore to a man he worshipped. Tyson's career was filled with these moments, dramatic showdowns where the narrative around him was shaped by men who dared to challenge his fury. Andrew Golota was another who tried to intimidate Tyson. Golota, infamous for low blows, cheap shots, and dirty tricks, walked into their fight with the reputation of a man unafraid to bend the rules. Tyson wasn't interested in rules. He was interested in making Golota regret every foul he'd ever thrown. The fight was pure domination from the opening second. Tyson hammered him with explosive combinations, breaking through Golota's guard and his spirit. And then something happened that stunned the world. Golota quit. He didn't go down. He didn't wait to be knocked out. He simply refused to continue. The biggest, toughest, dirtiest brawler in boxing walked away from Tyson because he couldn't stand another second in the ring with him. Fans rained boos across the arena as Galota marched into boxing infamy. Meanwhile, Tyson stood in the center, victorious once again. Every fighter who underestimated Tyson faced the same fate, including Trevor Berbick, the man who held the belt Tyson wanted most. Berbick entered confident, powerful, and proud. But when he felt Tyson's first real punches, the truth hit him harder than any blow. Tyson dropped him in such spectacular fashion that Berbick attempted to rise multiple times, collapsing every few steps like a man whose body had simply decided the fight was already over. And it was. Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history that night, fulfilling the destiny he had chased since childhood. Tyson's reign was not simply a series of victories. It was a crusade, a mission, a relentless journey in which every opponent who tried to disrespect him, every fighter who mocked him, every man who thought he could bully a kid from Brooklyn ended up lying on the canvas learning that some promises cannot be broken. Tyson was not just a champion. He was a force of nature. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the battles that shaped Iron Mike's legacy, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which Tyson fight do you believe defined his career, and which opponent do you think pushed him the hardest? Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more dramatic boxing breakdowns, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter in the history of combat.